16-bit arcade graphics.
You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis does.
16-bit sports action.
You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis does.
Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of Retro Raiders where, yet again, since the Dreamcast video, this time we're going to be covering a console. And this time we're going to be covering Sega Genesis, and to cover it with me is, of course, my co-host.
Hi guys, I'm Nuadacube, and it's a pleasure to be back for this. Our last big video on this was our Dreamcast video.
Which was our first video for the channel.
Yep. Oh, good memories.
And that was 2 years ago.
Sorry it's been a while since we got that out, but we're super excited to talk about the Sega Genesis.
Yep, so the first thing I want to talk about is what the Genesis means to us individually.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, the Sega Genesis was like a huge part of my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
I played it a lot of my grandma's. My family was always a Sega family. We always had like the Sega Saturn,
Yep.
the Sega Dreamcast. But again, I talk about my childhood with the Saturn and how my family had this. Not Saturn. We had a Saturn, but we also had a Dreamcast, and we discussed that in the Dreamcast video. But for this video, you know, it takes me back even further than that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't really have enough experience with Saturn growing up. I watched my siblings play Saturn, but I didn't really get to play it. And the Genesis was really the console that I have the most fond memories with as far as Sega is considered. You know, buying the Dreamcast because the Dreamcast was a different kind of exciting because that was one of the big console launches that I was aware of that I could be excited for.
Yeah.
So for that, that's what it means to me. What does the Genesis mean to you?
Honestly, like, I didn't grow up with the Sega Genesis. I didn't grow up with this Sega Saturn or the Sega Dreamcast. I didn't really learn about them until I got a bit older. My first home console was the GameCube, hence my name, Nuadacube. I knew about, Sonic 1, Sonic 2, and possibly, or Sonic and Knuckles and stuff, and I remember like going to a few people's houses in my early life, and they had something that kind of like looked like these, and they would be playing like Sonic 1 or 2, and I'd be so happy to be like, yeah, I'm playing Sonic,
So you had played the Genesis
I think I did
before, but you weren't sure what they were at the time.
Yes. And then I met this guy, and he told me that he had a lot of retro systems, and I came over for the first time, and it was a different experience for me because I never got to play these systems, and like he took out his Model 1 Sega Genesis at the time, which is over here. This is actually a new one, a newer one that he got. He gave me his other one, which I have at home. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. We played like a bunch of games. We played like the Sonics, of course.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. This was before he was into Mortal Kombat. I've gotten him into Mortal Kombat.
Oh, yeah.
This was before he was.
Yeah, he's cultured me on Mortal Kombat. But I fell in love with the system, and plus, like, we went to our local retro stores, and the games are relatively cheap on the Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
Like, you can pick them up for
Dollars.
just like a couple bucks in your pocket. Like, you can buy you a game or two, like they're super cheap, especially the Sonic titles.
One important thing that I want to bring up for the Genesis is the Genesis was the first console that was mine, that I didn't have to share with anyone.
Yeah.
Because I got a Genesis, and the Model 2 was the first Genesis that I personally owned.
Mm-hmm.
My grandma had a Genesis Model 2, which I played with my cousins all the time. Wonderful memories. But this was my first console. I remember it because I got it Christmas Day with a Sega CD and a 32X.
Oh my gosh.
Unfortunately, the Sega CD and 32X no longer work, so what do you do when something doesn't work?
I tell you what though, like these things are powerhouses.
Yeah.
Like they're very durable consoles.
Yep, I no longer have those, unfortunately, but I do love the Genesis. The Genesis is an important console to me. We also got a Nintendo 64 that same day.
Oh man.
So
that was a good Christmas.
Yep, but even though when we had the 64, this is what I played all my games on. didn't really play the 64 much because this was my console.
Yeah.
It's different, but it shows that's different between having to share because you're the youngest of two.
No, I got one over half brother.
No, you're youngest of two.
So
you're the younger one between between you and your sibling. That's why I said.
Yeah.
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 So you are the youngest of two siblings. So we so you didn't have to worry about sharing much. But I'm the youngest of 7.
Yeah.
So sharing was definitely a big deal. So to have a console that was mine, I mean, obviously I shared it with my siblings to play with it occasionally. I wasn't going to be a dick and be like, no, you can't touch this is mine. Basically all the consoles we had, unless stated otherwise, were for the family.
Yeah, yeah.
But I loved the Genesis so much. It's such a cool console. And one of the first games that I had with my Genesis was actually one of the games that's in your pile, which was Lethal Enforcers 2. Gunfire.
Really? That was your first ever game?
That was one of the first games that I got with my Genesis. And this game is fantastic. Now, initially when I got it, I had the light gun for it, because obviously TVs were compatible with the light gun at the time. And it was fantastic.
I want to play... Wait, did we play this game? No, we didn't play with a light gun on the PlayStation.
We've never played it. We've never played... It came out on the PlayStation, I also had that version. But this version was the version I grew up with.
Oh, it's better. Much better.
The graphics are not as clean as the PlayStation version. The sound isn't as good. But unfortunately, because we play on a modern LCD screen, you have huge white flashes, which if you're an epileptic, could cause trouble for you. So, if
on
you
the
want
Sega Genesis, it doesn't have that.
There is no white flashes.
Yeah.
And it is fantastic. Such a good soundtrack. It's very memorable. You're not gonna get me, Joe!
Eat lit!
But yeah, me and my sibling used to play levels on this game all the time. I would use the controller, he would use the light gun, we'd switch back and forth.
Oh, that's awesome.
The gameplay is so addicting.
Oh yeah, no, like we spent hours playing this.
But there are some levels are almost impossible without light guns.
Yeah, you gotta be like spamming out your controller.
Yeah, but the music, like it's classic Konami. Classic Konami arcade game.
Back when Konami was good.
Konami.
But yeah, no, this game, oh my gosh. This was or one of the games that like, did you not have this when I first came over and then you got it?
I didn't have it when we first came over. We didn't play the Genesis when we first came over.
Yeah, I remember that, but I remember like you getting it and then you popped it on like, oh my god, this game's amazing.
Yep. Another thing I got with my Genesis that day was a 6-button arcade.
That was the same day you got that?
Yeah.
Really?
Initially as a kid.
Oh, as a kid, gotcha.
Yeah, I had one of these as a kid, and that was part of like when I got my Genesis.
Gotcha.
I wasn't really into fighting games as much, so it didn't really get a lot of use out of me. But I don't know. I used it because obviously we had a game that required 6 buttons. At the time, I only had a 3-button controller.
Yeah.
So.
And it's good for like games like Mortal Kombat.
Yep, and
Street Fighter.
And a game that I have that we're not going to be covering today was Biohazard Battle, which was a space shooter that I also used. Me and my brother, whenever we played 2-player, one of us would use this, and it always felt a bit better to play on this style of controller. I like the Dreamcat, but I'm more into fighting games now. Looks good for the more combat games, Street Fighter games, obviously. I would say Tournament of Champions, but that game sucks. But
we both own a copy of that game.
It's not that it sucks, it's just not very great.
It's very lackluster.
Yeah, but I really like this controller. I think it feels great. Fun to have a tactile feel. I wish that the joystick had micro switches. The Dreamcast arcade stick and a lot of the modern arcade sticks that we're used to. The Japanese version actually does have micro switches.
Really?
Yeah, but it's a great controller. What's your opinion on this controller?
I mean, I didn't really play with it too much. I remember when you bought this, within the last couple years.
I bought it this year.
You bought it this year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I remember you picking it up. I just don't remember when. it's a cool controller. I mean, the buttons feel pretty good on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss the clickiness with other joysticks.
Yeah.
But I think it's a really cool controller to play games like I said, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. Like those type of games are just so much fun to play with an arcade stick.
Yep. So, like I said, initially I had a Model 2 Genesis. But you cannot look at the Model 2 without first looking at the Model 1. Do you want to grab it?
Yep. Got it on display right here.
So this is the Model 1 Sega Genesis. Now some of you might notice that this doesn't say high definition graphics on it, like a lot of the early Genesis did. And a lot of you might associate with that with this one having bad sound. Now what I found out recently is an interesting fact. All the Model 1s have different board revisions. So if you look at this Genesis right here, if you look at the back of it, see how this normally would be where the serial port would go.
Oh yeah. It's kind of hard to see, but
this console, when I opened it up, has the pinouts for that connector.
Really?
Yes. It just wasn't added because of, one, it never got utilized in the US, and two, it was a cost-cutting measure.
So like if you were to swap it, like the back with like a back that had it, it would work?
You would need, the piece isn't soldered on. The connector isn't soldered on,
gotcha.
but it has a spot that you could put it on if you wanted to.
Huh.
But so people might associate this one having bad sound, but no, this one actually has same sound chips as the earlier models, which is what you have.
Right.
So this one actually has same sound quality. It's just missing.
It was a bit like neat, like seeing like the sound slider on this and stuff.
Yeah.
And also like when you gave me your other Model 1, you had like a
we traded.
Yeah. You had a cable that like went into like here.
Yep, that's another thing I need to mention. Outside of the AV port, then you cannot get stereo sound out of this.
It's gonna be mono.
It's capable of RGB. Our Genesis systems are capable of RGB, but this system can only do mono outside the back port. What you need to do is you need to get a splitter, an audio splitter, and you plug into the headphone jack, and you can get stereo sound out of this. So you'll get your video out of here.
Yep.
But you'll get your audio out of here.
Yep.
Which is how you have your Genesis set up.
Yep, that's how I have it hooked up, and I love it, man. Like I play it every once in a while. Like I'll pop in a game to play, like a Sonic or Street Fighter or something, you know.
And when the Genesis first launched in '89, it also launched by side this, the Sega Power Base converter. And what this allowed you players to do is to play Sega Master System games on the Genesis. Because the Genesis is basically a souped-up Master System, so it has all the chips for the Master System in here.
Goes like this?
Yeah, this adapter just acts as a pass-through.
There we go.
And the controllers are backwards and forwards compatible, so you can use Master System controllers on the Genesis. And you can also use Genesis controllers on the Master System.
Vice versa.
On the Master System, which we'll get to when we do the Master System video.
And then what's this thing? Oh, and that's for different Master System games.
Yeah. Which we'll go over, but I'll just quickly mention that some Master System games came on cards, and so did the 3D glasses accessory.
See? So yeah, now we got the cart going in right here. We can plug the controller on the top there, and boom, you're playing Sega Master System games.
Yep.
This accessory goes for a lot of money these days.
Oh yeah.
But it's definitely worth the purchase though, like especially if you don't want to pop out like, I think the Master System's like $100 more than it, I want to say.
About so, yeah.
Yeah. So like, if you want a cheaper way to play Sega Master System games, then that's the way to play it.
An important thing to keep in mind if you're gonna get if you have a Model 2 Genesis or a Model 3 Genesis, or in this case a Nomad, this is not compatible with any of the systems.
Right. It's only compatible with this.
It is compatible with the Sega Genesis Model 2.
Really?
But you need to cut out a chunk of this.
Oh.
And that would devalue the power base converter, and now in Europe they did release a power base converter 2, but that was a European exclusive.
And yeah, so like, is the system region locked?
For Master System games? For Master System games, no, it is not region locked.
Okay.
You can, I think you can buy the Power Base 2, but they're pretty uncommon, pretty expensive.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Going back to the Model 2, obviously this is the one that I grew up with. Great console.
Oh yeah.
I like the design. I like the Model 1 design better. I think it looks more iconic to what the Genesis is, but this has its own iconic look to itself. And you know, I know people are excited because the Sega Genesis Mini 2 got announced, and it's going to be using this aesthetic.
Yep.
Yep.
The Sega Genesis Mini, like, surprisingly did a lot better than the PlayStation Mini.
Yeah. But while I have years of experience with this, looking back, I think I might have more experience playing on that model of the Genesis, actually. But this Genesis, again, this screams my childhood because this is the Genesis that I associate the most with my childhood. And one thing we didn't mention with the Model 1 is that the Sega CD is compatible, as well as the 32X, with both these machines.
Which we don't have, but...
Yep.
The Sega CD and the 32X are very pricey.
Yep. One thing I will say is that this does not have as good of sound as that Genesis.
One thing I remember, like, is with the with 32X, like if you were to attach the 32X and the Sega CD, it's like 3 different power bricks you have to plug in.
They released one power brick with 3 different.
Oh, they did?
That supports being able to use all.
Oh, thank goodness.
So they released that.
Oh my god.
But no, yeah, this is the Genesis that is my childhood.
All right.
And let's go.
Let's save the best for last.
We talked about 2 machines already. So the next machine I want to talk about is the latest in my acquisitions.
Yep, and that is the Model 3.
Now this Genesis also has significance to my childhood as well, even though I never owned one. And the reason why is because I was young enough where this was being sold in stores. And I wanted one of these as a kid. Before I even got this one, I wanted this one because it was like, it's a new Genesis.
Yeah.
Perfect opportunity for my parents to get me one.
Yep.
But I eventually got this, but I ended up getting this on the same Christmas that I was hoping to get this. Which, at the end of the day, was a good thing because this is compatible.
This is what you actually wanted to.
Yeah, this is so much more compatible with everything. Obviously, look at the back of this. You can't attach a Sega CD, and it's not compatible with the 32X without modification.
It's very dumbed down.
Yeah, but it actually has better sound than this one.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
So, Sega Genesis 3 is an awesome console.
Oh,
it's very compact. I love having it because, again, having something that you've always wanted as a kid, finally having it, even if it's not necessary, it's cool to have in the collection, and I really like it. And it was out the same year the Dreamcast came out in North America.
Yeah.
And in the Dreamcast magazine, they mentioned this being a stocking stuffer.
Oh yeah, I think I remember seeing that.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yep.
We'll probably show a clip of that in the video.
Yep.
But we also need to talk about the controllers. Now, initially when the Dream Genesis shipped out, it shipped out with a 3-button controller.
So
it had 3 action buttons at the top, 1 start button, and 1 D-pad, which is significant, and it's more rounded off the contour of your hands, which is definitely more comfortable than, say, the NES controller.
Yeah.
And at the time, 3 buttons you might think is nothing, but at the time that was kind of a big deal. Because most consoles, TurboGrafx-16, Sega Master System, NES, had 2 action buttons, start and select. So this was a big deal at the time. If you look at this, it has red out accents on the controller. That's to signify this is the one that came with the Model 1 controller.
Yep.
Model 1 console because the console has red accents. This was if you see one without the red accents, that means that was a Model 2 controller. Now obviously, when Street Fighter 2 came out that required 6 buttons, this wasn't going to cut it.
No.
Same thing with Mortal Kombat. So what they eventually did was release
The 6-button controller.
arcade pad, which is awesome.
Oh yeah.
Very comfortable. There's a reason why a lot of like modern fight pads that get released on modern consoles are based around this design.
Mm-hmm.
People said the Sega Saturn has the best controller for fighting games, but where do you think they got that layout from?
The first.
Yeah, I would definitely say that the Sega Saturn Model 2 controller is a lot more comfortable than this, but this is where it started.
Yep.
So if you're gonna play a fighting game, get this controller.
Yep.
You can do it with this, but you might have some problems. So get the 6-button controller. And when the Sega Genesis 3 released, that was the only console to ship natively with a 6-button controller.
Yep.
As you can see, this one's a bit different.
It is a bit different. Does it have a... it has turbo on it.
Yep.
Nice. Officially on a Sega controller.
Yeah, and it has a raised D-pad.
Okay, I might pick
So
this up.
it has a bit more travel on it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Which was a bit strange, because I'm used to using this controller.
Mm-hmm.
But that I did quickly adjust to that controller.
Yeah. And this is compatible with all the other models,
Yep.
which is amazing.
And one final model that we need to discuss is the crown jewel of my collection.
Yep.
The Sega Nomad. Now I have some interesting history with the Nomad as well. Now I know what you're thinking, man, this guy really has a lot of history with Genesis, and it's true. I love the Genesis.
Yep.
But man oh man, the Genesis is such a cool little console. And so is the Nomad. The Nomad is fantastic. I have had this one modded with modern LCD screen.
Yep.
Because the screens on these
They suck.
Not great. Not great. No.
The system itself is really cool.
The system itself is very cool. You have the AV port. This, like I mentioned, with all these other Genesis. This one also natively supports RGB. What I didn't mention about this one only outputs in mono. It does not do stereo.
Oh, gotcha.
But this is a great console. This one outputs in stereo.
Mm-hmm.
But look at this honker of a battery pack.
Yep, it's got a battery pack. It fits how many batteries in there?
Six
Or
AA batteries. Luckily with the screen mod, I can now get like 4 hours, which before it was only like 2.5 hours.
Can you imagine that, like, having to constantly beg your parents to get 6 AA batteries?
Now you could buy a rechargeable battery pack for these, but most of those are dead. They no longer hold charge.
No.
But with this console, it was basically all of the hardware of a Genesis, the modern Nintendo Switch.
Yep, because you can plug this
I mean,
into a TV.
It's the modern equivalent. It's the 90s equivalent of the Nintendo Switch.
So down here you got a controller port.
Yep.
And then up here
An AV port.
Yep, an AV port, and then the power port, and then boom, you have a portable Sega Genesis.
Now let's talk about this for a second. By all accounts, this shit had never worked.
No, it was way ahead of its time.
It shouldn't have worked. The technology wasn't fully there yet.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that it was Sega and Sega was like, yeah, it shouldn't work, but we're gonna make it work. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, like, I think it's a really cool piece of hardware, and I remember the day that you actually got this, I hooked you up with it.
You helped me find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he helped me find it. That was a big deal.
He was like, I really want a Sega or Nomad, and he was looking for quite some time for it.
Yep, and then he told me about Facebook Marketplace listing.
Yep.
He was like, hey, if you have the money, we can go grab this right now. And I would admit there was some hesitation, but I was like, yes, let's do it. One of the best decisions I've ever made.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, the smile on his face I'll never forget when he was testing it out.
Because there is a heartbreaking story about the Nomad.
Yep. Which was before you got this one.
Yep. I was gonna buy one for like $10 more. $20 more at a store called Cybertron. We love Cybertron.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, the machine was not in the greatest of shape.
Yeah, the power port on it was loose.
And it didn't have the battery pack, so it's not.
Yeah.
So I basically lived in a paperweight for the longest time.
Yeah.
So we ended up waiting. I was really disappointed. But I ended up picking my 360 that day.
Yep. Yep. So you didn't go empty-handed, but you were still disappointed, which is understandable.
Yeah. And going back even further, when I was a kid, me and my grandma and I believe my twin, we all went to a flea market, and I told this story before, I believe, where I found one. The guy wanted $60 for the Nomad.
Complete.
And my grandma was basically like, "Nah, you don't need it," and then so that can happen.
Oh. Yeah, like for a complete Sega Nomad these days, like if you want the console and the box and everything, it's like $500.
For that price.
It's one hell of a steal.
But the fact that the fact that I got this for $120 is a huge deal.
Oh yeah, no, you got a really good deal on it.
So we've already talked about Lethal Enforcers, but now it's time to talk about a few of the other games. So I believe the next game I want to talk about, and I don't have a big attachment with this game, but it's worth talking about because it was... When the Genesis was first coming out, one of the big things that they were talking about was it's going to be the arcade experience home. And one of the games that they packed in with the system, well, this was the initial pack-in, was Altered Beast for the Sega Genesis.
Really?
I actually picked this up when I was in Virginia at East Arlington Games.
Oh, really?
Yep. Shout out to our boy Christian, aka Chris Trauma.
Hey.
So this was a launch title, and this really showed what the Genesis could do as an arcade, bringing the arcade system home. Because this game was an arcade game, obviously, and it's extremely close graphically to what the arcade game was. So it really did push and show what the Genesis could do as an arcade machine.
Yeah.
Yep. So, I mean, and the game's fun. A lot of people don't necessarily like it. It's a good co-op game, but you know, I don't have a lot of attachment to it. You know, but you can't have a Genesis video without talking about it because it was there day one. What's the next game you want to talk about?
You know what? Let's talk about the game that you gave me.
Okay.
So one of the first games that Sean gave me when we traded this Sega Genesis was Earthworm Jim. So Sean had this title for quite some time. He was like, "Here, you can go ahead and have it. You know, it's a gift from me." And I was like, "Okay." And I think I might have played this game when I first came here. It's a really fun platformer.
It's a wacky game.
Oh, it's a very, very wacky game. Very difficult, but it's a very fun game. I'm very proud to have this in my collection.
It's a very iconic game.
Oh yeah, Earthworm Jim is very well known.
Yep.
And then the second one came out on the Saturn, right?
Yeah, it came out on the Genesis, it came out on Super Nintendo, it came out on Saturn, and the PlayStation in Europe.
That's what I thought.
And I believe a port also got to the Game Boy Advance.
But definitely a recommendation for me. If you like a difficult platformer, pick this game up. It's a little pricier, but it's definitely worth your time.
Yep, it's considered one of the best animated games on the Genesis.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of times when people compare like Super Nintendo games and Genesis games, they always say that the Super Nintendo game always has better sound. Not in this case. The sound audio of the Genesis actually looked in favor of the soundtrack for that game.
Really?
It was that game was also the soundtrack was also composed by Tommy Tallarico, who was the guy who actually, unfortunately, was the one behind the Intellivision Amico.
Gotcha.
So that guy actually did the music for that game.
Oh, right.
Yep. So the next thing we should talk about is
Oh, that game.
Splatterhouse 2.
Oh my gosh. If you want a very brutal game, that's the game to get.
It's not necessarily... Well, a lot of people say it's a very difficult game.
I
can get past like level 4. That's as far as I've gotten.
The game's very dark, though.
Now, I've gotten to the boss of level 4, but I've never beaten him. But this game is very dark. It's one of the first game on the TurboGrafx is considered one of the pioneers in horror video games. And this definitely, it's very much the same gameplay and everything like this, but this game is gruesome, but I love it.
Oh, it's a fun game.
You can splatter your opponents against walls with like a 2x4. You have to kill fetuses, like demon fetuses with a chainsaw.
Oh my god.
There are demon faces that shoot out ectoplasm at you for a boss fight. Oh, it's really, really messed up.
That would give kids a nightmare.
And what I gotta say is, if you want to collect this game, try to go for the European copy if you can. It works on all of these models of the Genesis. I've tested them all on these 4 models. They all work. But the American copy is like 180 to 140. So.
Is your copy a Mega Drive copy? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but it plays fine.
Yeah.
No slowdown. It plays at the correct speed. I recommend picking it up.
Oh yeah.
If you can.
Didn't you buy it off like eBay?
Yep. You want to talk about Sonic 2?
Sonic 2. So, this is arguably one of my favorite Sonic games on the Sega Genesis. Sonic 3 and Knuckles is really good too. The complete version of Sonic 3. But this game, very iconic. We have this is actually Sean's copy. It's a reproduction case. Very nice artwork on the top of it, which don't they? Oh yeah, they make a reference to this with the recent Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie, which is really cool. And the artwork and the promotional artwork that they did. This is a not for resale copy, which means it was bundled.
Yep.
So, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, it's widely talked about with many content creators as their favorite Sonic game of all time. Because this was the game that first featured Tails' miles per hour.
Yep.
So Tails, it's like a younger brother to Sonic, essentially, and you play as Sonic in the game, but Tails is also there with you, and another person can pop in a controller and play as Tails, right?
Yeah, but it's not very fun.
No. Yeah, no, the game's meant for Sonic.
But you can do 2-player.
Yeah.
Versus multiplayer.
The first Sonic the Hedgehog game, it's good, but I feel like the level designs in this game were a lot better.
Yep.
And also if you have Sonic 3 and Knuckles, you can pop in the cart and play as Knuckles.
Yep. So one game I want to mention.
Or if you have Sonic and Knuckles, I'm sorry, not Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
So another game I want to mention, which was also a big part of my childhood. I was terrified of this series for the longest time.
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. Ask any of my siblings, I was terrified to play Mortal Kombat. I was terrified to watch Mortal Kombat.
I'd be the same way.
Found it terrifying. And ironically became one of my favorite game series of all time. That's this guy. I own almost every Mortal Kombat game.
Yeah, no, like, he's the one that got me into Mortal Kombat. I mean, I knew about Mortal Kombat and its brutality, but like, when I actually like got like playing it from the older games, like up, like that's what got me into the series.
Yeah.
And then I eventually discovered one of my favorite Mortal Kombats.
The first one you really got into was Mortal Kombat Trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time. No, your first one was Mortal Kombat 4.
Yeah, that's my favorite one, I think.
Yeah. But this game's significant because it helped create the ESRB rating.
Yep. It was a couple games.
There was this game, Doom and Night Trap.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones that you would think how this game's significantly more gory than Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah.
You would think that this one would have caused them more of a stir, but no one really talks about it. It was really Mortal Kombat 2 just because of how wildly popular
it was.
This game was.
Yeah.
It was huge in arcades.
Yep.
And one thing that the Super Nintendo that helped outsell the Genesis, that helped the Genesis outsell the Super Nintendo for a while, was the fact that this game had the blood.
Yep.
Yeah, you needed a code to unlock it, but it had the blood.
Yep.
It had the uncensored fatalities. It doesn't look as good as the Super Nintendo version.
But the gameplay's better.
But the gameplay plays more accurate to the arcade.
Mm-hmm.
Edwin himself said that while the Super Nintendo looked better and sounded better, this played better and it had gore and uncensored fatalities.
In Mortal Kombat, like the first game, you can get for relatively cheap on the Sega Genesis.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? When Mortal Kombat 2 came out on Super Nintendo, they added the blood back in, and it's amazing what money can do.
Mm-hmm.
How it can change your stance on if you can include blood in your game or not.
Yep. Alright, so my next game, I'll save some of the best for last.
No, because some of them are going to be honorable mentions, so you might want to get those first.
We already talked about that. Want to do this one?
Sure.
Alright. So this is the game that me and Sean, I never really grew up watching this series, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but
it was in the 80s. It was even before my time.
I mean, I like watched some or growing up as a kid, you know, and we did a video.
Mostly like the 2004 series.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we did talk about his arcade one-up cabinet in another video, which we'll put a link in the description. But this game, man, is so much fun. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Hyperstone Heist. So this is a very expensive Sega Genesis title because it's very popular, right?
Yep.
And Sean's copy has a bit of a faded
but it is an official copy.
Or label, but it is an official copy. You can get a reproduction copy for probably hardly nothing, but
yeah, I don't like collecting reproduction copies.
I don't blame you. I mean, everybody has
for the Super Nintendo, they blend in, but let me tell you, this can't make a good reproduction for Genesis. I don't know what's up with that.
I haven't really played any reproductions on the Sega Genesis, so I wouldn't know. But anyways, back to my story. So me and Sean, we both sat down. And he's like, "We gotta play this game." Popped in the game in this Sega Genesis.
We did it the same way.
We literally beat the game in one sitting.
Yeah.
And my God, man, that was so much fun. So much fun.
Yeah.
And I would totally do it again. So if you want like a really good beat 'em up, this game right here, man.
So the next game I want to talk about is Streets of Rage 2. Now, Streets of Rage 2, kind of a big deal in the Genesis community. It's considered one of the greatest beat 'em ups of all time.
Mm-hmm.
It has an amazing soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the guy who made the soundtrack. I don't remember his name by heart. I'm sure someone in the comments will tell us.
Mm-hmm.
There was a very famous composer during the Genesis time.
Mm-hmm.
And he even, I believe he did some soundtracks later on.
Mm-hmm.
But this is one of the most iconic soundtracks.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to test out a Genesis sound capabilities, plug this game in because you will know if it sounds off or not. Because it's just that good of a track.
Wow. Huh. That's pretty crazy. A game with such good sound design was on the Genesis.
This game is considered one of the big icons of the Genesis. It's a great two-player beat 'em up game. It competed with Final Fight at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Because Final Fight for the Super Nintendo, the first one, didn't have two players. It was only a single-player game, and it would move one of the characters. This game had three selectable characters, and it actually had two players. Final Fight on the.
Huh.
And I played Final Fight. I like Final Fight. I think it's a great game, but I actually think this game plays a bit better. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like I've heard about Streets of Rage, especially with the fourth game that was released recently.
Yep.
A lot of people talk about how great Streets of Rage is, and it's cool to see a Sega Genesis copy of it. Is this the first game? Second game. Nice. Yep, I see Streets of Rage 2 on there. Not for resale, so this game was bundled.
Yep. They released several sets. They released some action sets for the Genesis, which came with Model and Genesis. They also did the same set of Mortal Kombat 1.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So
I've never seen a not for resale Mortal Kombat game, so I'm not sure how they handled that.
We'll save this one for last, or.
No, go ahead.
All right. So this game. So it's another very difficult game on the Sega Genesis, even with two-player and with light guns and stuff. Oh my gosh, this game literally requires some kind of cheating device just to beat the game, and that is Terminator 2, the arcade game.
Great game, awesome soundtrack, difficult as hell.
Not Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
Bad game.
Yeah, no, it's a terrible game. But this game right here, it's a little bit like, it's not hard to find, but it's a little more difficult to find, I think. I see it quite often.
I bought that copy at Cybertron.
Yeah. I mean, you can go to like your local retro store and they'll probably have a copy of it, but I got a box copy actually. Well, not original box, so reproduction box.
Yep.
But this game, man, we both, like, we tried and we tried and we tried, man. Like, we got really good at the game, but it is so difficult, man. Like, get to, like, the second or third level. Oh, my gosh.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. That's all I can say. Holy shit, man.
But, the next thing I want to talk about is one of my favorite games. It's another series that's important to the Genesis, the Shinobi series. And this is Shinobi 3, Return of the Ninja Master. Oh my god.
It's a really cool game.
The soundtrack for this game is amazing, and I love the gameplay more than any other Shinobi game.
Yeah, no, like I've heard great things about the Shinobi games.
You remember when I plugged this into the Nomad the first time and Ian was around? He was like, yo, that intro slaps.
Mm-hmm. It's such a cool game. And such great design in the game and gameplay, man. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Love it. It's fantastic. There's not a lot I can say because it's gameplay solid, music solid, stage designs solid. So 100% recommending this game if you can.
Alright. So this is the last game in my stash.
And this will be the last game in my stash.
So this game, not very popular, but it was also released on the SNES, which
Actually,
I have.
This version's
more popular?
It's considered the better version.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, no, I got both this version and the SNES version.
Cool.
Testes. 1, 2, 3. And that is Beavis and Butthead, the video game. Yeah. So this game,
it's not great.
Yeah, it's not great, but I wanted to mention it because it's a very goofy game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the thing that I like about the game, it feels like you're playing an actual Beavis and Butthead episode.
Yeah.
It's 2-player. You can pop in another controller and play as both Beavis and Butthead. But the game itself sucks. It really does.
It was one of the last games I was playing on this before I had to get the screen removed unfull.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, their stupidity broke your Sega Nomad.
You're never putting that game back into that. No! And then the last game we'll talk about is a huge deal. Virtual Racing.
That game, man, it's so impressive, like, especially for a Sega Genesis title. It looks like a Sega Saturn title almost.
Yep, and we only have so many more minutes left, so...
Okay.
We're just gonna quickly say that this game blew our minds. We did not expect it to look as good. This actually has a processor, graphics processor within the card to do that, and when this game came out, it was $100.
My gosh. And yeah, like, you got it for a pretty good price. I think it was like $20 you got it for?
24?
24 bucks, yeah.
But no, this game's fantastic. It's great. I enjoy it. I think it plays well. A lot of people don't like it. Mark from Classic Game Room says this isn't a playable version, essentially. I disagree.
I thought it was fun.
I think it's really good.
Oh, yeah.
But, whew! That ends our Genesis video.
We covered a lot in this video, man. Like,
more than we expected.
Yeah,
More than what we were planning.
We've been playing this video for quite some time, but it's something we feel like we really need to talk about on our channel, man, because the Sega Genesis means the most to you, of course, but it also means something to me, like, as a gamer, because
it was the first Sega console you ever could. No, the Dreamcast was the first.
Yeah, this was the second one, and then it was the Sega Saturn.
Yeah.
But overall, like, the Sega Genesis has fantastic games on it. They're relatively cheap. I mean, now's the best time, as of this video, to pick them up as many as you can, because you can get them for just a couple bucks each.
I 100% agree with this man. He's right.
I mean, like, there's been times or periods in my life where I didn't have much income, and I wanted to go to, like, game stores with Sean when I would come over, and he'd be like, pick up some Sega Genesis games. They're dirt cheap. I'm like, okay. Yeah. So I picked, one here, and you spend like $20 for like 4 or 5 games.
So I already said how much why the Genesis means a lot to me, and you just said what it means to you. Mm-hmm. So I think this is a good time to say goodbye, everyone.
Hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching the Retro Raiders. We'll see you all in our next video.
And next time we will be covering the Sega Saturn.
Oh, that's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah.
See you guys.